Hey everyone, Marco here, and welcome to a series I've wanted to do on this YouTube channel for quite some time. It's a What is Log series, and basically we'll talk about the fundamentals of what log is, how to acquire it, the best methods and practices of acquiring log, especially in terms of codecs, bit rate, and color subsampling, and then how to grade it, and basically the do's and don'ts entirety of log shooting. So this is the first episode, and we're really going to be talking about what the heck log is in camera words and definitions. Log is actually what you think of if you think about a mathematical function. Let's talk about image sensors for a quick second. They are digital, right? They take binary numbers, ones and zeros, to give you data. Some cameras can record crazy amounts of data, for example, 4K, 6K, 8K cameras, and they can record it in terms in bit rate. So you have a 200 megabits per second, you are recording data at an average of 200 megabits per second, or about 25 megabytes per second to some kind of medium, usually SD cards, or to an external recorder like an SSD and an Atomos Ninja. So when you're recording in log, what you're really doing is telling a sensor, a digital sensor, what to record or how to record. So a log function, like a mathematical function, is then applied to your image sensor and the processor. And really what it does is it takes a standard linear curve or a linear line that says these are shadows, these are midtones, these are highlights, and then it kind of fudges them a little bit. So what you actually end up doing is taking the shadows on the bottom side of the curve and pushing that up, and then taking the highlights and bringing that down. So what you eventually get is this, a super weird looking, washed out, almost monochrome image. That is what log is. It's literally a mathematical function applied to an image sensor to give you a lot of flexibility in post. So there's a lot of great benefits and also cons when it comes to shooting in log. The benefits is you get latitude. For example, I am sitting in a room right now lit by some room lights, and also I have the outdoors outside here, so you have a somewhat blown out background. But because I'm shooting this in log, I can bring the highlights behind me down a little bit to try to recover some of those details, and then my face and all of this are in the shadows, and I can bring those up and get some detail out of it. Now, this is really hard to do with low bit rate because you have to use image sensor data to recover that. Image sensor data is essentially either a 1 or 0. Inside that binary data, you actually get values for exposure, luma, and color. Now, if you're recording something in 8-bit and 420, you're going to have all the luma channels there, but you're not going to have the color. You're only going to have 2 channels of color, and then it gets repeated in the next 2 lines of pixels. So you really kind of stretch that, and you're kind of confined to a point where if you're starting to push a lot of things over, you're going to find some artifacts, banding artifacts in your video. Now, you record something in 10-bit and 422, you're going to get a lot more data. You're literally getting a billion colors compared to 16 million colors. And then you also still get that 4 luma channel. So we actually, as humans, perceive luminance a lot more than color. It's almost impossible for a human eye to perceive the 16 million versus 1 billion, but there is a difference when you're talking about post-production. Now, log isn't always going to give you the best results, especially if you have very controlled lighting and you can control the latitude your sensor gets. Some sensors are very good at low light, some sensors are very good in a lot of light. Some sensors actually have dual ISO circuits for both low light and also very low ISO values. So log gives you a lot of flexibility only if you acquire it properly, and we'll talk about that in future episodes of this series. But for this elementary first episode of What is Log, and really Log Explained, I just wanted to talk to you about the basics of log and what it actually is for your camera to have. Is it needed for YouTube? Absolutely not. But if you're a color nerd and you like to color grade and really mess with your footage, log is a great tool. So the best case scenarios of using logarithmic profiles on your camera is in really crazy dynamic range shifts. So when you have a poorly lit subject in a very bright background, or the opposite way around, it's basically when you want to retain as much information in highlights and shadows to give you a very appealing image. Now, it's really interesting to see log when recorded because if you ever bring up a luminance scale or a histogram, for example, or waveforms, you actually see what really means. So we call it flat in a lot of the film world. And if you look at a Luma channel of a logarithmic video, you actually see it's a fairly pancaked uh, profile. You don't want a lot of expanded stuff from 0 to 100% because you basically don't have any more room to push around your footage. If you're already at 100%, you're clipped. You're not going to recover those highlights. And if you're already at 0%, you're crushed. You're not going to recover any of those shadows. But if you squeeze them in and you're at like say 20 to 80, you can expand them out even further and get more details out of those areas of the image. Again, I will be showing this in a series or in a video showing how to grade a log video. But again, this is just a very elementary quick video to tell you what log is, to kind of just show it and show you how to recover some stuff and what it looks like when you don't grade or color correct. So if you're really interested in the series, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and like the video. Leave me a comment if there's anything you want to see, but I do want to do, I guess, about 4 more videos about this topic and go in depth in a couple other ways. Now, if you guys are interested in me making a video about how to color correct and color grade in very popular nonlinear editors like Final Cut Pro or DaVinci Resolve, please also leave me a comment below and like the video, and I'll add that to my to-do list. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you very shortly for the second episode. See ya.